As the Forum on China and Africa Cooperation (FOCAC) ends, Nigeria sees investment potentials to the tune of $5 billion. Monetary policy makers across West Africa converge on Abuja, single currency in focus. It's not the best of times for South Africa as the economy enters into a technical recession, the first since 2009. This is Business Express, reaching you from the network service of the NTA. I am Amina Nujeng. Welcome. Nigeria and the People's Republic of China have signed two new agreements aimed at strengthening and expanding their mutually beneficial collaboration and cooperation in critical sectors for enhanced socio-economic development. This was the outcome of a high-level talks between President Muhammadu Buhari and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in Beijing. Now, similarly, Nigeria is to key into the Belt and Road Initiative of the People's Republic of China as an additional mechanism towards building further cooperation in the nation's quest for economic and infrastructural development. President Muhammadu Buhari, who stated this at a round-table meeting during the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit in Beijing, said the initiative synchronized perfectly with the economic recovery and growth plan of his administration. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports that through FOCAC, Nigeria has so far benefited over $5 billion in projects.
The roundtable meeting is coming barely 24 hours after President Xi Jinping announced a fresh $60 billion infrastructure financing for Africa by the People's Republic of China. The meeting, held behind closed doors, provided the opportunity for African leaders to discuss their various countries' proposals and see what can be obtained from the vital infrastructure financing facility. President Muhammadu Buhari said through the FOCAC initiative, Nigeria has been able to impressively address significant challenges in the areas of infrastructure, human capacity development, power, transport, agriculture, and humanitarian needs. The partnership, he said, has resulted in the construction of the first urban rail system in West Africa, the execution of $3.4 billion worth of other projects, including the upgrading of airport terminal projects, Zungeru hydroelectric power project, and internet infrastructure. Less than 3 months ago, Nigeria also signed additional $1 billion loan for the newly constructed rail lines rolling stock, as well as road rehabilitation and water supply projects. Nigeria, President Buhari said, is not only grateful to China, but will continue to support the FOCAC initiative towards achieving socio-economic growth and sustainable development. Some members of the Nigerian delegation described Nigeria's outing at the summit as highly beneficial.
How do you expect President Buhari not to be here? One, he is the head of Africa's biggest single democracy. Two, he is heading the second, or probably the first, the biggest economy in Africa. Three, he is the chairperson of the Economic Community of West Africa. Okay? Now, how on earth would we imagine a person of that stature, political stature, economic stature, to stay away from such an international bilateral organization like FOCAC? It's not just conceivable. It is good he's here. It is good he has a feel, a direct feel, not a remote feel, of what problems African countries have and what is the approach of the Chinese government and people to helping or partnering with us in solving these problems.
So what are we likely to take away from China?
There's so much to take away. One, the goodwill. Two, we are participants, and obviously Nigerians stand to benefit. For instance, unless and until we develop our infrastructure facilities. All talk of development, it comes to nothing. We've seen it through the years, and what we're trying to see is how we get out of the mud.
Buhari should actually stay here to get it done. You can't sit at home and get things done. You have to reach out. As important as Nigeria is, and which all African countries have confirmed, they look up to him too, to show leadership, and which is doing practically. So these meetings held by other African countries actually is in favor of Nigeria, and President Buhari should be here. I think it's something that we must all embrace. If they develop the gas of Imo State alone, the best you can think about in the world, and the second largest in Africa.
And in what appears as a direct response to the concerns being raised about the rising debt distress, President Muhammadu Buhari explained that some of the debts incurred by Nigeria are self-liquidating. He said in line with the federal government's policy of fiscal prudence and sound housekeeping, Nigeria is able to repay loans as and when due. From Beijing, China, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
China National Petroleum Corporation CNPC has assured the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation NNPC of its unflinching commitment towards securing funding for the successful financing and subsequent execution of the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano pipeline project. The boost for the project was revealed during a high-level meeting between the NNPC and the CNPC management held on the sidelines of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit in Beijing, China. The AKK gas pipeline would enable connectivity between the east, west and north that is currently non-existent. It would also enable gas supply and utilization to key commercial centers in the northern corridor of Nigeria, with the attendant positive spin-off on power generation and industrial growth. I am now being joined by Yeshua Aliyu, an economist, to dissect these issues. We have CNPC and NNPC collaborating on oil. How do you see this collaboration?
Well, if we are to play a game theory in economy, CNPC and NNPC, they are synonymous to each other. But the difference is that development experience, and that is why if you are discussing a relation between China bilaterally with Nigeria, you have to include transfer of technology because they are rich in technology, we are rich in oil. And they are in need of our oil, and they are in need of our market at the same time. So it's a good cooperation.
Talking about cooperation, we have the Belt and Road Initiative, another cooperation.
Yes, you see, for any successful engagement in trade, efficient transport system is required. That belt, in fact, is encouraging. And also, I'm seeing it as maybe it's an opportunity for Nigeria to have a breakthrough now.
And we are still talking cooperation. So far, $5 billion worth of infrastructure in Nigeria has gained in the last 2.5 years or 3 years so far. Is that a positive development, and do you see more coming?
No, you see, Chinese are very experienced people and very committed individuals. They are offering about 60 billion to Africa. So if Nigeria is taking 1/6 of that total amount in 3 years, it's a welcome development. Looking at, for instance, the Focus Laboratory for the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. The Focus Laboratory is searching for about $20 billion US. So if $5 billion is coming directly from China and coming into Nigeria at this time, then we say it's already a success for that laboratory and the experience of injecting fund into the economy, because you know the economy is so much in deficit, and there is need for so much injection within the economy as well as outside the economy.
We're talking about growing the economy, and you say key is transport. The rail transport system in Nigeria is picking tempo very quickly, and Chinese is at the center of this execution. Where do you see the role of local skilled manpower?
That is why I always emphasize, even when we discuss in this studio, we discuss American and Chinese trade war, I emphasize that 2 target points must be considered by Nigeria. That is one, the technology transfer. because Chinese are good in technology, and they have cheap technology, and we are having a situation where we need so much of their experience into our own system. Transport system, Chinese are coming with their technology, and recently they have engaged Ahmadu Bello University to begin to train experts to manage the industry. These are some of the issues that will bring development to Nigeria, because it's not just to bring the investment or bring the facilities. We need, within the same economy, experts to manage it in the short run and in the long run as well.
Okay, we have critics from the West who are not too excited about Chinese funding. Can you shed light on the differences between Chinese funding and funding from other agencies or other countries?
You see, Chinese, they are wonderful in the sense that it's an economy that has over 3 trillion foreign reserve. So they are comfortable. So, and nobody can compete with what they are doing in the world. Chinese doesn't look at your face. They look at what you have on ground. They look at your facilities. China is looking for uranium. Africa offers about 75% of the total world requirement of uranium in Africa. Mineral resources that is helping Chinese technology, especially electronics, is abundant in Nigeria. Chinese are looking for it to exploit it. So no matter what, the Western world, they will continue to compete. And that is why there is a trade war. And this trade war, like I said earlier, is not new in international trading. Started since around 1939. And up to now, the Chinese have an advantage over it because, one, they have the capacity, two, they are prepared for it, three, they are ready also to transfer some of their technologies to the rest of the world, which the West refused to do. Remember the Ajaokuta steel that is managed by the West for over 30 years. It has not been practicalized. But now Chinese are coming. By the time they come with their railway, put railway from Ajaokuta to Kaduna, linking Kano, we are expecting to be more than that.
That brings me to my next question. We have national leaders. We also have sub-national leaders, as well as private sector and public sector. It's a connectivity of prospects and investment and investors. Do you see this in the long run, the tempo being sustained?
It's already sustained. When they are giving cheap loans, China has 3 targets in Africa, especially in Nigeria. One, they are targeting our crude raw materials. 2, they are targeting our emerging market. So when they are coming with aid. They are coming with development financing. And they are coming with also private partnership. So we are expecting the Chinese coming with 60 billion to Africa. If they bring at least 5 billion to Nigeria, we are expecting private partners that are allied to Chinese to begin to come, because they will build confidence. You know what is called economic of scale. By the time the railway experts are in Nigeria, the facilities are in Nigeria, other joint products will begin to come. Locomotive industry is a big industry, as well as port. When you are mentioning transport, the dry port, for instance, there must be connectivity. Nigeria has come with a plan of having special economic zone. These economic zones are so important to every economy. We copied it from China. So we have to share the development experience with the Chinese in the special economic zones. And we have to make sure that our railway connectivity has reached all these special economic zones, because if you have a bumper harvest, you need an efficient transport to quickly convey it, because modern market is a market that is contestable. It is hit and run. So the earlier you reach to the market, the better for the economy.
Do you see any challenges?
There are a lot of challenges. Political is the major challenge in Nigeria now. Political commitment. That is one. 2, security. There is no way you can operate an economic system where you invest so much into the economy without security. So I am expecting the federal government to tackle security, because that is going to be the next challenge that is coming. 3, our financial institutions, the interest rate at which we are lending. Central bank has to look at the lending rate, because by the time companies are coming, more investors will be sourcing for funds. That sourcing of funds will create competition. That competition should not encourage the commercial bank to begin to raise interest rate so as to counter the little progress we are making.
Okay, China has the world's largest population, and they have somehow managed to provide and cater for these large population. What lessons do you see Nigeria taking away?
The two states are different attitudinally, but one lesson is industrious nature of the Chinese, which we have. The industrial nature of our people must be joined together with the Chinese. If, for instance, you bring Guangzhou industrial zone of China, and you now decided to create a special economic zone, for instance, in Aba. So there is need to connect the technology quickly, because if we fail to learn quickly, some others will come and take advantage of any expansion we are making into the economy, and they will take the benefit of it.
In closing, what should Nigeria concentrate on in trading with China?
We must study well the trade war that is existing between China and other nations, and we should exploit the situations. I am happy that President Muhammadu Buhari quickly took advantage of the Chinese-American trade war to quickly go and present Nigerian case before the Chinese by himself. It's a good development for Nigeria, but there is more to be done. All stakeholders, there is need to sensitize, to bring them, because of other factors that may limit you know, when confidence is built, there is going to be more proactive commitment by the Chinese as well as other countries that are putting together their technology or their marketing together.
Bishir Aliyu, an economist. Always a pleasure having you on Business Express.
I'm grateful and wish Nigeria well.
Yeah, it's always good news.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yes.
Now, moving on. Nigeria's Purchasing Managers Index, as compiled by FBN Quest, spiked 12.07% to 54.8 points in August. Any reading above 50 points is considered positive and reflects an expansion in the manufacturing sector. Meanwhile, Brent oil is trading at a one-month high of $78 per barrel. Increased oil proceeds could mitigate the impact of the sustained capital outflows on external reserves. Let's see how commodities are faring across the globe. Stock market slowed in early trading midweek. Bosede Abel has an update of the market.
The Nigerian equities market resumed trading on Tuesday, reversing the downward trend it recorded on Monday. The all-share index advanced marginally by 0.28% to close at 34,933.68, while market capitalization was at 12.7 trillion naira. A total of 240.4 million shares valued at 3.6 billion naira were traded in 3,400 deals. UBA, Access and Stanbic were the most active. ICO, Jaiz Bank and C-Lacing topped the gainers table, while PZ, Fitzin and Univision led the losers chart.
Meanwhile, the market closed Wednesday in the red on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, with the OSHA index standing at 34,414.37 basis points, with volume of trade at 200 million, while value was 2.162 billion naira. First, it was Apple in August. Now, Amazon becomes second U.S.-listed company to have a market value of $1 trillion US. Let's see how this news is affecting major stocks around the globe. And Bosede Abel, again, is our guide.
Tuesday, 4th September, saw the African stocks market maintain mixed trend. Kenya Nairobi all-share advanced 1.42 points and closed 0.86%, while South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 was on the red by 1.42%, Tunisia's Tunidex 0.74%, Namibia Overall Index 2.36%, and Ghana's GSE Composite Index also depreciated by 11.17 points to 0.40%. In the United States, stocks fell on Tuesday as trade tensions between the U.S. and key partners increased to start off one of the toughest parts of the year for equity investors. Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 0.05%, S&P 500 0.17%, and Nasdaq Composite Index also depreciated 0.23%. European stocks finished deep in the red amid fears of a crisis in the emerging markets and trade tensions between the U.S. and major economies. DAX declined 1.10%, FTSE 100 0.62%, and CAC 40 also fell 1.31%. Asian stocks indices on Tuesday were broadly positive after a slightly turbulent trading day, with markets remaining uncertain over trade concerns and emerging market worries. Nikkei 225 ended trading largely flat at 22,696.90. Shanghai rose 1.10% and the Hang Seng Index appreciated 0.94% and closed 27,973.
Many thanks, Bosede. Nigeria's foreign reserves declined by $1.28 billion US in August to $45.84 billion. This is the second successive monthly decline. July's decline of $670 million was largely due to the repayment by the federal government of $500 million to holders of a maturing Eurobond that is yet to be refinanced. This is the latest decline is being attributed to the changed stance of some players in the offshore community. The Central Bank of Nigeria Tuesday made available $210 million US to meet customers' requests in various segments of the foreign exchange markets. The federal government has asked MTN Nigeria to pay fresh $2 million US in tax arrears on imported equipment and payment to suppliers. Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, in a letter to the company, said the import duties, value-added tax and withholding taxes on foreign imports and payments dated back to 10 years. However, MTN Nigeria said in an initial assessment of the period indicated that total payment made to the tax authorities with regard to foreign imports and payments amounted to $700 million, adding that it had fully settled all taxes on imports. The Office of the Attorney General said on Tuesday that a whistleblower prompted an investigation into the alleged MTN infractions that last week led to a demand for $8.1 billion taken out of Nigeria to be brought back. MTN, in a statement, said all dividend repatriation out of Nigeria was done on the basis of equity capital and valid certificates. Well, that's a wrap on Business Express for today. Thank you for being a part of it. Let's see you on Friday.